Would you still see me if I don't know if I can pull this way. I was going to say if I came down on the floor, would you still see me?
Yes.
Okay, great. See me embarrassed. All right, there we go. Thank you. Yes, that's my first major accomplishment of the day. It is terrific to be here with all of you this morning. I'm Danielle Allen. Thank you, Greg, for the great intro. And there's a lot to talk about today. And I want to just start by acknowledging what a hard moment this is. I'm sure many of you felt in your guts the impact of the court's decision yesterday. I know that opinions are all over the place, and RCV is a cross-partisan movement and effort. So there can be a lot of different feelings in the room. I want to just acknowledge that. And I know in my own family, I called my mom last night. My mom's particular perspective is that of somebody who was at the University of Wisconsin in 1968. Another crazy time, right? We live in crazy times, but we have had crazy times before. And my mom was a resident head for a dorm at the University of Wisconsin, and so she remembers that time in the 60s when so many terrible things were happening. And so she really, sort of in a deep and dark place at the moment. I'm just sharing that to let you know where my own family is at this moment. And so I know it can feel odd, regardless of where you are, and sort of thinking about the questions the court's put before us to come together this morning to talk about something that sounds to so many so wonky, so technical. Ranked choice voting. We've got these existential questions about our commitments as a people and so forth, and then we come together to talk about RCV. So how do those pieces fit together? One of the things that the court decision underscores, above all, is it's all about state politics. Everything that matters is about state politics. And we could feel good about that if our politics were generally healthy, right? But so the problem is, we're like, it's all about state politics, people, and then we're like, but we look around and we don't really feel like we have a healthy democracy all over the place at any level, federal, state, in some cases municipal. So that's hard. So then that's another thing that hits really hard. And we have to then ask ourselves the question of how we get that healthy democracy so we can do the hard work that the court has put on the table for us of figuring out a way to resolve our differences, of finding a path forward that can be stable, that can respect the commitments to rights that so many feel, but also the challenges and difficulties around the question of abortion in particular, but all the other hard questions we have on the table in front of us. So how do we get to that healthy politics? I want to just share a little bit more about myself so that you know the perspective I bring to the question of how we get healthy politics. I grew up in this huge family in Southern California, a big network of aunts and uncles and cousins. And this family of mine was big, having started out as already a big family in the South, in northern Florida. My dad grew up in northern Florida, 12 siblings, and half of them moved away from northern Florida to Southern California to get away from the Jim Crow South. It was just that basic. The 40s, when they grew up, were a pretty darn rough and violent and dark time. And they were trying to find their way out. And so they came out of a civil rights and movement tradition. My granddad helped build one of the first NAACP chapters in northern Florida. And there's this huge network of us in California, all really deeply engaged. And the truth is, engaged across the political spectrum. So I remember the year that my aunt was on the ballot in the Bay Area for the far left Peace and Freedom Party. And in exactly the same year, my dad was running for Senate from Southern California as a Reagan conservative. So those dinner table conversations were intense. And I was like this kid, back and forth, which way does it go? Which thing is it? Now the thing about those conversations that was amazing is that they never disagreed on the what. They were both committed to the idea that the job was to achieve empowerment for communities so people could have a foundation for a healthy and thriving life, choose the path they wanted, build their lives, be leaders, be people shaping their lives. Empowerment was the goal, but they had deep disagreements about how to get there. my dad making the case for market choices and libertarian choice rights, and my aunt making the case for public sector investment across all the different segments of our society. And again, it's a scale back, which one is it? How does it go? It's like ping pong here. But the other thing about their arguments in their debates, they agreed on the what, disagreed on the how, and never broke the bonds of love. They were committed to each other. They always were. They never ever in any way insulted each other, dragged each other down, but they could have knockdown, drag-out arguments. They fought fair, in other words. Yeah. So they were committed to empowerment. For them, that meant voice and choice for all. Voice and choice for all. And they were committed to fair fights. Okay? So those are two critical elements of a healthy democracy. Voice and choice for all, fair fights. So how do we get those? Ranked choice. Okay? Why? Why do those pieces fit together like that? You already know the answer, right? Ranked choice gives us the chance to express our whole range of views. I like this person the best, even though maybe they don't have a great chance of winning, and I also like this other person, and on down the list. So A, we all get to fully voice the spread of our opinion. B, candidates can't win until they actually gather 50% of the opinions in the room. And therefore, the majority voice is really fully expressed. And it may take getting through first choices and second choices till we figure out where that center of gravity is, but where the voice of the community is truly speaking, all right? And real choice, more candidates on the ballot, because once you have this voting mechanism, it makes it so much easier for candidates to run. They don't get charged with being spoilers, right? They don't get the sense that there's no hope at all, because maybe they can get those second choice votes. Maybe they can come in and make a chance. If you get more candidates, so you get more choice, all right? And as we look around the country, as people have brought in ranked choice voting, we have seen a diversification of who's running for office and who's winning office. So it's voice and choice for all, okay? So, as Greg said, we are taking something that used to be a technical wonky issue, we're turning it into a movement, okay? So I'm gonna make you practice some movement stuff. What is it we can get from ranked choice voting? It's gonna be voice and choice for all, okay? So I want you to say that with me. What is our message? Our message is voice and choice for all. Voice and choice for all. One more time. Voice and choice for all.
Fair fight.
There you go. What do we want? Fair fights. What do we want? Fair fights. How do we get it? Ranked choice. Okay? You don't need the word voting. Just say ranked choice. Let's make it simpler. Okay? So again, we can also make the first part simpler. What do we want? Voice and choice. What do we want? Voice and choice. How do we get it? Ranked choice. What do we want? Fair fights. How do we get it? Ranked choice. That's the message. Okay? That's the message. We all have a lot of work to do just plain carrying the message. And I have one last thing to share with you, one technical Massachusetts specific thing before I hand over to Nathan to talk about the national context. When Yes on 2 lost, there was a lot of agonizing trying to figure out what happened. And one of the things people often said was, there was a solution where there was no problem. Well, we all know that's not true. There is a problem, all right? But there is a part of our system where ranked choice on its own is not the solution that matches up with the problem. How many candidates do we have in the Democratic primary for governor? One. How many candidates do we have in the Republican primary for governor?
2.
Who needs ranked choice? You don't. You don't. So at the end of the day, if we truly want ranked choice across the whole system, we gotta start at the municipal level, because that's a place where cities and towns are running elections with 11 candidates in September and 10 in November. I mean, it's a waste of money and time. So there is a problem. So we can solve that one with ranked choice voting. We can have one election ranked choice, save everybody time, increase engagement, really important. But at the state level, we also actually have to work on ballot access, okay? Or nonpartisan primaries or something. There's a couple of different approaches that would get us an actual group candidates on the ballot. Okay, but in order for ranked choice to work at the state level, we're going to actually also need to work on ballot access over time. Doesn't mean we have to do it now, all right? It's the right thing to do to focus on ranked choice at the city level and get everybody used to it and understanding it and feeling the power of voice and choice, okay? That's what we got to do first. But what I'm wanting to say to you is, in addition to carrying a message, what do we want? Right. What do we want? Voice and choice. How do we get it? Ranked choice. What do we want? Fair fights. How do we get them? Ranked choice. Okay, so ranked choice is the how, the what is the value statement. Voice and choice, fair fights. Okay, the what's the value statement, the how is how we get it. Now, in addition to that carrying the message job, the other job we have to have is to link arms with other people working on other democracy questions. And we'll work in sequence. Ranked choice is first. I rank ranked choice number 1, okay? It gets my number 1 ranking. But ballot access gets my number 2. Campaign finance gets my number 3, and so forth. And I don't know if my rankings will stay in that order over time. I want to talk and work with all of you to figure out those rankings. But we gotta link arms and build a bigger movement. So with that, I'll conclude in just one last time. What do we want? Voice and choice. How do we get it?
Ranked choice.
What do we want?
Fair fights.
How do we get it?
Ranked choice.